Ansley Coale, and I'm in the Germain Robin tasting room in beautiful downtown Ukiah. You'll hear a lot of traffic noise while I'm talking. All right. This is about Mezcalero number 20, which just came in. Right? Mezcalero number 20. This is from a guy named Jesus Rios in this tiny, it's not even a town. They have a city hall, which is not much bigger than this office. And there aren't any houses around there. It's just the only flat place they got. It's down at the bottom of this very steep canyon, goes up towards the northwest. And this is west of Sola de Vega. And I mean, it's so steep, and their houses are all spread out. They all have walkie-talkies, which I haven't seen in a long time, right? They talk to each other with walkie-talkies. They have 58 channels for the 58 houses that are on this thing. And anyway, steep terrain. What's interesting about steep terrain is this is a semi-wild agave called Araucano. It's one of the many agaves that are called agave americana. Sierra Negra is another one. That Sierra Negra tastes nothing like this. Very little is known about how different agaves species and subspecies behave in these varied microclimates all over the Oaxaca Valley, which is a big chunk of land. This takes about 3 hours to get there from Oaxaca City. And what the steep terrain means is that the plants have to struggle a little bit. They're semi-wild in the sense that, I don't think they plant them, but they take care of them a little bit, clear around them and so forth, so they have a way to grow, but, not always. You see them, you're walking around out there, you see these, Araucano is a big agave, and you see them surrounded by all kinds of stuff. But, the other thing is that these guys this is real traditional production. They use canoas. Those are sort of like logs that have been hollowed out. They're called canoas, canoas, which are canoes, because they look like a dugout canoe. They hollow these logs out and they put the roasted agave cut up in there, and they use mallets to crush them. It takes 3 days to crush a batch of agaves after they've been roasted, a palenque full of agave. And actually, probably not as much, because they have these very small palenques, because they have these very, very small pot stills. They're made out of clay. They're like, they're like this big clay pot. Jesus only has one of them. So you're getting this intense. Araucano is intense anyway, but it's nicely softened by the fact that they're using clay still, so you get this mouthfeel. I use this big word, colloidal, to describe it. Colloidal is sort of how when you rub your finger over wet clay, there's this kind of like, it feels like you're rolling a whole bunch of little balls under your finger. It's kind of slick, but your finger slides very easily. That's how this feels in your mouth. It's from the clay. And the clay, so it kind of softens the intensity, and this is beautifully sweet. These agaves must have been really ripe when they were picked. Long, complex finish, and incredibly well distilled. I mean, here's a guy who's been doing it forever, and using plants that grow near his house. He knows them really well. He's distilled them a million times, and he's distilled the Araucano a million times, so he really knows it. So he's making his cuts, like perfectly, and running his still at exactly the right temperature. And this is really nice stuff. Mezcalero, semi-wild agaves. If you like mezcal, you should get this one.